Happiness isn't a destination. It's a path. But I only realized that after I lost everything. His name was Mark. A common name for a common man. Living in a big city, squeezed into morning subways. Watching his salary disappear into bills. And having no idea what life was really about. Mark woke up every morning with a hollow feeling. Like he was living someone else's life. 34 years old, working a corporate job. Swimming in debt, divorced, and seeing his son every other weekend. Real success, he thought, is just not breaking down. But he had already broken, he just hadn't admitted it. One cold winter morning, he woke up at 6:40. It was still dark. The room was cold and there was a buzzing in his head. He picked up his phone, 27 new messages from work. His heart raced. Pressure. Anxiety. Exhaustion. He stumbled into the kitchen. Poured water. Sipped his coffee on autopilot. A call, his boss. Mark, meetings at 8 o'clock. Don't be late, or else. He didn't even know if it was worth fighting anymore. Happiness felt like a myth, some fake ad on a glossy billboard. And that day, everything exploded. At work, he snapped. A coworker threw a sarcastic line, "Relax, man. You screw everything up anyway." Mark lost it. He threw his mug at the wall. That moment decided everything. Fired. No sympathy. No thanks. Just like that. He walked the city streets. Past towering buildings that once seemed powerful, now. They felt like tombstones of dead dreams. He reached a bridge. Looked down. And then, he remembered his son. His voice. His laugh. That stopped him. He didn't jump. But when he got home, he felt like nothing. The next few days were grey. He didn't wake up. He just opened his eyes. No hunger. No plans. Sour milk in the fridge. $2 in his wallet. Nothing in his soul. Then he remembered something his father used to say. If you don't know what to do, wake up early. The world looks different at sunrise. And so he started. Not living. Just feeling that maybe he still could. The next morning, he simply sat in silence. No phone. No noise. No demands. Just quiet. And in that quiet, for the first time in years, he heard himself. Something had started. He didn't know it yet. But that was the beginning of happiness. Because all great stories begin with the moment. You say to yourself, I don't want this life anymore. Life doesn't change in one instant. But there is a moment after which you can never stay the same. On the third morning after losing his job, Mark woke up at 5:52. No alarm. Just opened his eyes. For the first time, not out of fear, but with a strange feeling. Something was different. He couldn't name it. But it was as if his soul had asked to see the morning differently. He threw on an old jacket, tucked his hands in his pockets, and stepped out into the cold air. The city was still asleep, but the sky was already turning blue. The park near his apartment was quiet. Not even the birds had woken yet. That's when he saw him. An old man was sitting on a bench. Grey hair, dark wool hat, a thick notebook in his hands. He was writing something, focused and still. A thermos cup stood beside him, steam rising into the cold air. Mark meant to walk past, but the man looked up and said, "Thoughts have power. Especially the ones we repeat every day." "Sorry." Mark blinked. "You're wondering what to do with your life. Everyone does. But few actually listen." It sounded crazy. But his eyes were calm. Wise. Mark sat down. And they talked. The man introduced himself simply, Nazar. But he spoke little about himself. Instead, he asked Mark, "How long has it been since you truly lived?" "I don't know. Maybe never." "And how do you want to live?" "Just to be happy." "Then start with your morning." Mark chuckled. "My morning? What am I supposed to pray to the sun? You can at least start by not touching your phone for the first 30 minutes. That alone is revolutionary. Then Nazar handed him a piece of paper. It listed 5 things. The Morning 5 by Nazar. 1. Wake up before sunrise. The world before everyone wakes is medicine. 2. Don't touch your phone for the first 30 minutes. Give yourself a chance to hear yourself. 3. Write 1 page, raw, unfiltered. Empty your head. 4. Move your body. Even just 10 minutes. Through the body to freedom. 5. Say something kind to yourself. Be the one who supports you. Mark looked at him with skepticism. You seriously think this will make me happy? No. I'm saying that without this, happiness is impossible. The next morning, Mark gave it a try. He didn't touch his phone. It was hard. His hands reached for it. His brain screamed that the world was out there, but he resisted. He picked up a page and wrote, I'm scared. I don't believe in myself. But something in me is still alive. Then he went for a run. Not far. Just down the block and back. Breathing in the cold. And something shifted. It was the first morning I felt alive. Not because everything was okay. But because I chose how my day would begin. Once you've felt truly alive, you can never go back to autopilot. 3 weeks had passed. Mark was waking up early each morning. Writing. Jogging. Avoiding his phone. Drinking coffee on the balcony. He had even started smiling at strangers. Life seemed lighter. But life is not made of mornings only. On Friday, his father called. Brief. Dry as always. Your mother's in the hospital. Stroke. Come now. Mark froze. His hands trembled. Everything he had built crumbled in an instant. He jumped on a train. 5 hours of silence. 5 hours of mental screams. This is it. You're weak again. You're losing her. Outside the hospital was cold. The air smelled of medicine and exhaustion. He couldn't go inside yet. He stood in the hallway and felt something familiar creeping in. Fear. Panic, helplessness. Why did I think those little morning games would change anything? This is life. And it's crushing me again. Then he heard Nazar's voice in his mind. Right, especially when it hurts. That's when it matters most. Mark pulled out his notebook and began to write. Notebook, his morning page, written at 5:48 p.m. I'm scared. My mom is in ICU. I feel guilty for not calling more. I'm shaking. But I'm here. I'm breathing. I didn't run. I didn't cancel myself. And I'm writing. That's a win. It wasn't magic. But it was an anchor. It pulled him out of the storm. That evening, outside the hospital, he did 20 squats. Jogged in place. People stared, but he didn't care. His body needed to move. He wasn't trying to beat anxiety, he was surviving it. And that was new. Repeat button, repeating the morning 5 even in crisis. Next day, in the hospital room, his mother opened her eyes. Weakly, she whispered. You're here. The sun rose, didn't it? He squeezed her hand and said. Yes, Mom. And arose with it. Pushpin Mark's realization. The secret isn't what you do when life is easy. It's what you keep doing when it hurts. That's the path. A conversation with the inner critic. Since childhood, we've lived with a voice that doesn't love us. And we've treated it like truth. Mark was home. His mother was out of danger. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. He was drained, physically and emotionally. But something in him refused to collapse, his rhythm. At 5:45 a.m., he woke up naturally. Made the bed. Boiled water. Sat in silence. And in that silence, he heard the voice. Not divine. Not angelic. The same old voice that had whispered for years. You're not good enough. You're weak. You're pretending to be someone you're not. You started too late. No one cares about you. Mark realized. He had lived with this critic his whole life. But he had never confronted him. That morning, he wrote on paper. Hey, in a voice. Let's talk. Honestly. He imagined the voice sitting across from him. Small. Bitter. Made of fear. And he began asking questions. Mark. Why do you keep tearing me down? Voice. Because I want you to avoid failure. If you don't try, you can't lose. Mark. But I've failed before. And I'm still here. Voice. You forget how much it hurt. How they laughed in school when you stuttered. How your mom said, "Don't be silly," when you dreamed of writing. Mark, after a long pause. I remember. But that doesn't justify you now. I'm not that boy anymore. And something odd happened. The voice went quiet. For the first time in years. That morning, Mark didn't just write, he listened to himself. He saw that his critic was just a scared part of his psyche, trying to protect him from pain. But over time, it became a prison. #ritual number 5, talking to yourself. That day, a new ritual was born. Pushpin every morning, before facing the world, he asked himself. 1. What voice is speaking in me today? 2. Whose voice is it really? 3. Do I want it to lead my day? These 3 questions changed his mornings. Sometimes you're not tired. You're just exhausted from years of listening to a voice that doesn't value you. Change your morning and the voice will change. And with the voice, your life. 7 days of silence. To hear yourself, you have to leave the room where everyone is shouting. Sometimes the shouting is inside you. Package letting go of everything. Mark packed light. Simple clothes. Notebook and pen. Flashlight. Matches. Thermos. A few jars of food. Nothing else. He turned off his phone. Logged out of the world. For 7 days it would be just him, the woods and the morning. Camping first morning. He woke in his tent. The cold pierced his bones. Mark wrapped himself in a blanket, stepped out, sat on a log. And simply watched the sun rise. No music. No news. No voices. No noise. On the 5th day of his morning journey, Mark realized. We are how we wake up. Because morning is when the day is born. Hope is possible. Mood is decided. Morning habit number 6, be silent. Silence doesn't mean no one is around. It means you stop shouting inside yourself. Pushpin Mark learned to sit for 15 minutes and do nothing. No overthinking. No to-do list. No fear. Just being. Feel your breath. Listen to the passing of time. Become the one who sees the world as new. On the 3rd day, sadness showed up. Quiet. Heavy. No reason. Just longing. For himself. For the man he might have been. Mark realized. Mornings aren't for action. Mornings are for remembering who you are. That became a new ritual too. Pencil #morning habit number 7, write one truth about yourself. Each morning, Mark opened his notebook and wrote. I'm still afraid of taking the first step. It hurts when I feel unseen. I want my dad to be proud. I'm stronger than I appear. These simple truths shaped how he lived the day. Sunrise on the 7th morning. He sat by the fire. Face weathered. Eyes clear. Hands still. And for the first time, he thought. I'm not chasing happiness. I am becoming the one who can feel it. White heavy checkmark recap. In the forest, Mark found 2 powerful morning habits. 6. Be silent, even 5 minutes clears the noise. 7. Write one truth, not for others. For yourself. These weren't productivity hacks. They were soul reconnect irons. Return to reality. Silence is a privilege. But true power is staying true to yourself in the noise. Back to the city. After 7 quiet days in the mountains, Mark returned. The elevator creaked again. The city breathed urgency. Same streets. Same people. But he had changed. On the subway, he thought, I don't want to forget myself again. It was easy in the woods. But the real test. Living among people without losing yourself. Shock of the first morning. 6:30 a.m. Alarm, coffee, city buzz. No silence. Just notifications. No presence. Just schedules. No soul. Just tasks. And then he remembered. Morning isn't automatic. It's a choice. He sat down. Closed his eyes. Breathed. 15 minutes. Then he wrote one truth. I'm afraid of fading back into this world. Morning habit number 8, protect your morning. Phone on airplane mode. No messages before 9 o'clock. 1 hour just for you. Not selfish. Self-respecting. Because if you don't design your morning, someone else will. Facing his toxic boss. 10:15 a.m. Boss's office. Mark, why is the presentation late? What's this attitude? You think you're still on vacation? Old Mark would have stayed silent. But now? I'm here to work. Not to burn out. Silence. His boss was stunned. What changed? He wasn't rude. He was aware. Because when you've spoken truth to yourself in the morning, you won't stay silent when disrespected. You won't bend to every demand. Morning habit number 9, create boundaries. No email before breakfast. No instant replies. No apologizing for choosing peace. Every morning is a doorway. You decide who walks in. Friends test the new him. That evening, Mark met old friends. Loud jokes. Shallow talk. New iPhones. Same memes. He felt bored. Then it hit him. I no longer want to live through gossip. I want to live through meaning. He stood up. Left. No drama. No guilt. He simply chose himself. Recap. 2 more morning habits Mark discovered. 8. Protect your morning, your time, your rules. 9. Create boundaries. The day starts with clarity, not chaos. This wasn't about rituals anymore. It was about identity. Loneliness is a mirror. Loneliness isn't emptiness. It's the room where you finally meet yourself. Empty calls. Mark woke up earlier than usual. 6 a.m. Still dark outside. Inside, heavy silence. He reached for his phone. No messages. No missed calls. No one waiting. This wasn't just a morning. It was a confrontation with loneliness. Flashbacks. In the kitchen, coffee in hand. He stared out the window. He remembered how his phone used to buzz constantly. People laughing, calling, expecting. But was he truly happy then? No. He was just distracted. Now? He was free. But alone. And that was terrifying. Morning habit number 10, meet yourself in silence. Mark realized. People run from loneliness, but that's where the real conversation begins. 10 minutes. No music. No phone. No words. Just breath. Stillness. Presence. And for the first time, he felt alive, not useful. Morning journal. He opened his notebook and wrote. I feel unwanted. But in this emptiness, I find space. Space for me. A tear rolled down. Not of weakness, but of awakening. Because every morning, we either run or heal. Who am I without the roles? Mark was no longer the dependable employee. The always there friend. The quick responder. He was just him. And in that silence, he finally saw. He wasn't empty. He was full of life, waiting. Recap. Mark discovered a powerful truth. 10. Meet yourself in silence. Because a morning without your soul is just another repeat of yesterday. You're not alone. You're with yourself. And that's more than enough. The most important morning question. If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? Steve Jobs. Inner Awakening. 6:40 a.m. Mark sat at the edge of his bed. His body was awake, but his mind wasn't. He didn't reach for his phone. He didn't rush to the shower. Instead, he looked at his hands. Then out the window. And finally asked, "Why am I alive?" Not in a poetic way. In a practical one. What if this is my last day? Morning habit number 11, ask the one question that changes everything. He opened his notebook and wrote, "If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today?" The answer: no. He didn't want to suffer through another empty workday, keep postponing dreams, or live like a background character in his own life. Time is not infinite. We live like we have unlimited mornings. But one day we won't. Mark realized, a happy person is someone who's ready for every morning, even if it's their last. Tiny changes. He didn't quit his job that day. He didn't sell everything or run off to Tibet. But he did. Cancel a pointless meeting. Text a friend he hadn't spoken to in months. Dust off an old notebook with a dream business plan. Tiny shifts. Quiet steps. But they echoed loud within him. Mark wrote, "I'm tired of betraying myself every day. I want to wake up and feel that I'm walking towards something real." And for the first time, his day wasn't about must. It was about choose. Recap. Mark unlocked the 11th morning truth. 11. Ask yourself every morning, if today were my last, would I live it this way? Not to scare yourself, but to clarify. Because every morning is a chance to be brave. Reject fake living. Take one honest step forward. The one action that makes all others easier. The best way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Walt Disney. Begin with what matters. Every morning, we face noise. 1,000 tasks. 100 distractions. Dozens of urgent messages. But among them is one action that truly moves you forward. Mark called it his key task of the day. Morning habit number 12, do the most important thing first. Every morning, he asked himself, what's the one thing that truly matters today? And then, he did it. Before coffee. Before emails. Before the chaos. Why it works. When you start with what matters, anxiety fades. You feel in control. The day has purpose. You've already won before 9 a.m. Examples of key tasks. If you dream of a business, write one page of your plan. If health is your goal, move for 15 minutes. If you want peace, sit in silence for 10. Not perfect. Just done. From Mark's journal. When I start with the thing I used to avoid, I feel powerful. Even if the rest of the day falls apart, I've already done the hard part. All 12 habits connect. Each of the 12 habits is a stepping stone. But this one, it's where your feet hit the real path. Because waking up isn't just about the body. It's about waking up to your purpose, your mission, yourself. Recap. 12. Start your day with what matters most. Not with headlines. Not with guilt. Not with other people's demands. But with your highest priority. The person who acts on what truly matters first thing becomes the leader of their own life. Why these 5 morning habits are your system for happiness. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Dalai Lama. Morning rituals are like the foundation of a house. Imagine your life is a building. Weak foundation equals shaky structure. Solid foundation equals sky is the limit. These 5 habits. They are not just tips. They're your system for building focus, energy, peace, and power. Let's revisit the 5. 1. No phone upon waking, frees your mind. 2. Gratitude rewires your brain for joy. 3. Movement, even 5 minutes, ignites your energy. 4. Cold water or shower boosts alertness. 5. One key task gives purpose and progress. What happens in the cortex activates, your focus sharpens. Dopamine rises, motivation kicks in. Serotonin balances, mood stabilizes. Cortisol drops, stress decreases. Each habit powers the next. These habits aren't separate. They are gears in one powerful engine. Gratitude makes movement easier. Movement energizes you for the shower. Cold shower sharpens focus. Then you tackle your key task. One habit triggers another, like falling dominoes, until success is inevitable. Rise, don't fight. Most people struggle in the morning. Not another day. I don't feel like it. Too much to do. But those with a system, they rise. They don't avoid life, they walk into it like champions. The choice is yours. Mark once wrote, "I used to start my day as a prisoner of time. Now I am a creator of space." This isn't about success. It's about freedom. Recap. Happiness is not random. It's built with intentional, repeatable habits. These 5 actions are your code for happiness. And it works. Every morning. Every time. Your morning habits don't just shape your day, they shape your destiny. You can't change your past. But you can change your habit. And your habit will change your future. A tale we overlook every day. Imagine 2 people. Both stressed. Both tired. Both facing life's chaos. But one of them adds the 5 morning actions into their routine. In 30 days, they are calmer, more focused, getting results. The other, still waking up with nothing ever changes. Mornings decide momentum. Start strong, stay strong. The first 30 minutes after waking up are Neurogold. You either program your mind or someone else does it for you. TikTok, the news, your inbox, your ex's Instagram. Morning habits are your willpower muscles. When you wake up without scrolling, express gratitude, move your body, hit cold water, and focus on one key action, you become not just happy. You become resilient. System for chaos. Structure stress. This is how you change your destiny. Your morning dictates your decisions, your mindset, your attitude, your communication, your goals. Change your morning and you redirect your life. Data doesn't lie. Gratitude in the morning equals 27% boost in happiness. Moving 10 minutes equals 35% more daily energy. Cold water equals 20 to 30% reduction in depressive symptoms. This isn't fluff, it's neuroscience and action. Don't wait for motivation. Build a system. Most people wait for the right moment, for more energy, for life to settle down. But you don't need more time. You need one committed morning. 5 actions. A new trajectory. Your life equals what you repeat. We are not our goals. We are our habits. And if your mornings are intentional, grateful, energized, grounded, focused, then your destiny will match your habits. Happy people don't wait for magic. They build it every single morning. Each morning is a new earth. Imagine waking up on a blank island. No yesterday's weight. No regrets. No noise. Just you. And the chance to design the next version of you again. 5 morning moves that rewire your soul. Let's return to the core. 1. Wake up without the phone. You are not a servant to digital chaos. 2. Say thank you out loud. Gratitude is the engine of joy. 3. Move your body. Energy doesn't show up. You generate it. 4. Splash yourself with cold water. Discomfort builds your discipline. 5. Do the most important thing. Focus is the compass of winners. These are not habits. These are your sacred pillars. This is how you transform. You can't always see the moment your mindset shifts. You can't always measure the light returning to your eyes. But it happens. Every single morning. You return to yourself. You don't need more time. You need one ritual repeated with love. What happens when you do this daily? You become confident even in chaos. Calm even in noise. Grateful even in pain. Clear even in distraction. Why? Because you've built a morning of mastery. And mastery, my friend, doesn't depend on weather or traffic. It lives inside you. A message to every soul. Whether you live in Brooklyn or a small town in Iowa. Whether you're 22 or 72. Whether you've won big or lost everything. If you rise and do these 5 things, you're winning. Because if you command your morning, you command your life. Your mission is to be the spark. Be the one others look at and say, I don't know what they are doing in the morning, but they are glowing. This isn't magic. This is ownership. And that is the new power.